why people can act childlike when they're older. It's because there's repressed anger from the child that wasn't allowed to express itself.
No, this is $6.99. We can't afford this.
But I want it.
Okay, yeah, but it's not in the budget. We still have to get beer.
I want it.
No.
Yes.
Kyle,
I
no.
want it.
What do you... why are you making a scene?
In this video, I don't really want to go into how the inner child affects our lives or how to heal this inner child. But I also want to cover what actually is it? What is this inner child? If you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos like it, don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, if you have any questions, ask them in the comment section. I do reply. As we grow up, we go through this developmental line. And as long as we have proper parenting, proper care, our wounding will be minimal. As we are seen and mirrored and cared for, we grow. We grow psychologically, we grow into our environment, we develop will, social skills, and learn how to relate to ourselves and the world. But essentially what happens is, as we're a child, we undergo some form of wounding. There's many ways in which this wounding can occur. It can be through omission, meaning that basically what happens is our parents don't really pay us attention, they might abandon us. It's really about what isn't met as opposed to what is met. And it's that gives these void-like energies of the inner child. It can be physical trauma, it can be just abuse in the household, creating an unsecure environment. It could be by enmeshment. And by enmeshment, basically what I mean is you have to take on a role of some sort, usually like a caregiver role. I'm pretty sure Bradshaw referred to this as emotional incest. And what happens is your parent may need saving or they may need caring for. So you have this 4-year-old child taking up this caregiver role to take care of their parents. But basically what happens is these childlike energies, you know, these awful, these wondrous, these intuitive, inspective, fun, energetic, explorative parts of ourselves get split off. This trauma splits this part of us off. And as the rest of you develops, this part remains underdeveloped and stuck. So if you imagine the developmental line as a timeline, you know, it kind of gets lodged here and it doesn't continue with the rest of you. And as we do grow up, this inner child part of us isn't allowed to integrate into society. You know, if we act sad or we act a bit playful, we're either told we're showing off, we're told we shouldn't be so sensitive. So society is really about just harding us, making us extremely hard to the world, and what that means is numb, out of touch. That's basically what that means. And when we split this part off, our inner child, we are out of touch because there's a part of us which isn't included in our psyche. And as this part in time is frozen, all of the wants, desires and fears of this child and the trauma is frozen too. That's why people can act childlike when they're older. It's because there's repressed anger from the child that wasn't allowed to express itself. It's the repressed sadness, because sadness isn't allowed to. Our anger just protects us from that sadness. So we don't grieve, we don't let out this anger, and that's why we get sick. That's why we get ill, or why people explode. It's because of this energy which isn't allowed. And we really just hit tipping point. And inside of us there is just that sad, wounded child that isn't seen, accepted or loved. But it's not just society that rejects this part. Often we reject it ourselves, you know. We don't want to be vulnerable, we don't want to be scared, we don't want to be angry. So what we do is push, 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 push. We distract ourselves with addictive habits, whether it's, you know, drinking, smoking, shopping, watching TV. We distract ourselves and from this wounded inner child. And the consequences of this are basically is that the inner child, it begins to rule our life. It begins to control us. Because it's unconscious, it can start to pull the strings of our life. It can make us go into addictive patterns, it can make us go into vicious cycles, do things that we don't quite understand or get, because we're looking at it from our normal perspective and we're not inquiring and searching inside to find the answers. We're just trying to fix it out here. We're trying to stop these patterns, but these patterns are ingrained. They're part of our neurology at this point. So we really need to go through an unwiring process, which I'll talk about in another video. But these patterns that we find ourselves in, whether it's abusive relationships, whether it's putting ourselves last, or whether it's always having to put ourselves first and not being able to meet on a middle ground. These are very childlike energies. And Carl Jung spoke of this. It's really one of his main archetypes. And he divided it further. He divided it into the per aeternis and the puella aeternis. But this per aeternis in Latin means basically the eternal child. And we know people that basically don't grow up. They reject boundaries, they reject limitations, they reject commitment, long-lasting relationships, or commitment to a long-term job. So it's really about staying in an adolescent phase of having no limits, being able to do what they want when they want. So what we do is we abandon this inner child, we abandon this true expression of ourselves. We abandon our playfulness, our funness, explorativeness, our kindness, all the nusses. We cut them off, and what we identify with is a persona or a false self. We identify with the part of us which was accepted. If you wasn't accepted as a playful inner child, but you was accepted as the helping, giving, or joker or funny person, you instead identify with these different roles that are accepted. They limit us. I'll go more into this at another time. This is really called subpersonalities. And we identify with this false self, and it protects us from our true feeling and our true expression. And many people go through their life not knowing any different. They feel it to be them. But underneath that is really a truer expression of ourselves waiting to be revealed. So to summarize, basically, the inner child is that part of us that gets frozen in time. It's that true expression. And once that gets split off and cut off, what happens is we identify with a false self or an adaptive self. A part of us which can survive in the environment because our true spark, our true essence isn't accepted. So we identify with another part of ourselves. And the false self is the part that is accepted, whether it's the joker, as I mentioned, or the helper, the good boy, the good girl, whatever it is, we identify with that the parents accept. Hope you enjoyed this video. Peace.